feeling really nicey. Like watching Jared Goff go 18 for 18, 292 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Got me feeling nicey.
I couldn't do that pregame warm-up. Ho! Jaden Daniels, just a rookie, 26 out of 30, 87%, 231 yards. He rushes for 47. He's doing everything. Shredded, baby. Ho! C.J. Stroud, 345 yards, brings the Texans back, wins it at the buzzer. Shred 'em, Stroud. Ho!
Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by FLURRY Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the FLURRY Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, Week 7. Hopefully everyone's feeling nicey, like John Gruden. Have you watched his breakdowns, Luke?
Yeah, he's a psychopath.
He's a psychopath, and I'm so happy he's back making.
Agreed.
Just talking about football, like God, he's insane.
Like if you put together a list of just like football is all that person cares about, like it's John Gruden and Jim Harbaugh, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, very different people too. There's some overlap, but very different people. This is Fantasy Football by Committee. A lot of new people going to be watching this, I assume, because of the ranking success. So thank you very much for joining in for the first time.
Congrats.
And congrats to you. Definitely keep coming back, kind of like Jimmy says, "What's up, boys?" in the YouTube
What up,
comments.
Jimmy?
Every single Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central, we are here going over the rankings and, more importantly, answering your guys' questions. Rankings are going to continue to be updated throughout the week. Saw a lot of confusion about that, wondering why certain people were ranked where they were, when if they play, they're obviously going to be higher. You're correct. Updates before, especially for the Thursday night football people tomorrow. Saturday night, there's a big update just because of the international games, which we have another one. That's a long day of football. It's getting to be a lot.
Did Jacksonville come home?
No, they stayed.
That's got to be a long 2 weeks.
Well, especially for Doug Peterson, when he knows like he's getting fired after this week, unless they look so good. That's the fact that they stayed over there is the only reason why he still has a job.
To your point about being a long day on Sunday for football, I did it 2 weeks ago. It was, you do college football all day. That's what 11 to that's like probably 13 hours, 11 to midnight. And then you do 8:30 to, and that Pittsburgh game got delayed. It was 8:30 to midnight. It was like 15 and a half or 16 and a half straight hours of football, which is incredible, but
so good.
Yeah.
If you had to say which day of football you're enjoying the most, what is it? For me personally, I know you do a lot of high school football too. Just either it's high school football or college football on Friday. Those games are so perfect for me. I love those games where it's not usually the studs. It's just the guys that are just incredible at football, high scoring games. Out west, obviously, you get some. There's Hawaii, Boise State. That was a dream matchup for me. It's so much fun.
I love going to high school football games.
Same.
And actually around this time of year, it's a little chilly out. As long as you're not getting rain or snow or anything, high school games are really fun. And they're playing for the love of the game, right? They're not making it anywhere. So you go to like these shitty rural areas in Wisconsin and watch, two schools with 500 kids in it play against each other. It's incredible. I love doing that.
So good. And 8-man football is popping up too, just with less and less people playing football now. Those games are fun too. And it's like you make one guy miss and it's a house call.
Right.
So when there's a linebacker that like he's meeting you in the hole every fucking time, it's incredible. That kid, 8-man football starting linebackers are the biggest psychos on the planet.
For sure. Well,
so much fun.
I'll say like moms of like second string like offensive
Yeah.
linemen are psychopaths too.
Or the mom and the backup quarterback too.
Right.
She's a different level of crazy
Yeah.
always. But yeah, so we are going to be talking football, mostly NFL football, unless you guys have questions tonight. Truly laid back show. We hang out. We talk about the rankings that are up on flurrysports.org. If you're on YouTube, they're linked in the description as well. Yeah.
If anyone has any college football questions, send them our way too. We're in a college fantasy league this year.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I
Yeah.
would advise, like, if you're a diehard fantasy football player, you play in dynasty drafts and stuff, dynasty leagues, stuff like that. Like, playing college fantasy will help you out so much.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
knowing people, knowing where they came from. People every year, it's like, where did this undrafted running back come from? He played at some no name university, but like the college fantasy players is like, yeah, he was one of the best running backs because he played against nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right?
like, that's the best.
It's a little like college basketball too when March Madness comes around, right? Like you have something to
Sure.
root for in every single college football game that's on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's not me just throwing random dollars at schools where I've never seen them play. I'm just like, why would Duke win a football game? Like, of course
Right.
they're going to lose, pick against them. Usually works. Looks like Trevor's frozen.
Hey, Trevor.
You can take it.
Nope.
Looks like his Wi-Fi is still doing it. But let's just jump into the rankings again. If you have any rankings questions, if you have start sit questions, if you have trade questions, we love trade questions. Fire away. But my quarterbacks, top 5 quarterbacks for the week so far. I have Lamar Jackson at 1 at Tampa, Jaden Daniels 2 versus Carolina, Josh Allen 3 versus the Titans, new quarterback to Amari Cooper there. We got Jalen Hurts at 4 at the Giants, then Joe Burrow 5 at the Browns. I feel like these quarterbacks have much better matchups this week. But what do you think of those 5?
Yeah, right. It's hard to, I say this a lot, but it's hard to argue against them. Let's talk a little rest of the season here. How much has Amari Cooper helped this Bills offense and help Josh Allen kind of open up a deep ball a little bit?
And rest of season rankings hopefully out tomorrow as well on Flurry Sports. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I've never been the biggest Amari Cooper fan, but clearly they don't have a go-to option on that offense, and they don't have like a true field stretcher. They hoped it would be Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's not even on the team anymore. He's been so bad. So I think it helps the entire offense a ton. I think Amari Cooper's value to me goes higher as well. I guess that, versus what it was with the Browns. Would you trust him as your lock and load wide receiver 2?
I'm gonna say it's hard to trust him as a wide receiver 2 right now. Give me a game or two. He goes for 75 and a touchdown, and then 100 and not a touchdown. Yeah, I think the potential is certainly there.
I think
but I will add on that if you drafted him as your wide receiver 2, I think you're a lot happier right now than you were 2 weeks ago.
For sure. I have him in too many leagues. I don't know how I kept getting him, but I like him a lot more. I think that's the value where I think that's a ceiling, right? Would be a wide receiver 2.
Yeah, probably.
I've seen very polarizing takes, like Amari Cooper with Josh Allen. That's not going to be anything. And then I've seen he's been wide open all season long. He just needs a quarterback to throw it to him. And now he's an obvious wide receiver 1. And I'm not there either. Everyone knows my take on Amari Cooper outside anyway. So just the fact that he's going to be playing in very snowy conditions at some point soon, I assume.
Yeah.
I'm not going to love him in those games, I don't think. But yeah. Anything else about those 5 quarterbacks? I'm not sure if Trevor heard them or not.
I'll throw one more question at you. Regarding Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia's kind of, I'm not going to say sputtered on offense, but they haven't been. They haven't had like Saquon Barkley only has 2 games with a touch. Like he has 5 touchdowns, but only 2 games he scored touchdowns. Like, is anything scary on Philadelphia? Like, is Jalen Hurts too high? Do you think?
I like where he is just because I think it's one of those rushing touchdown games, but like it's fair to say they sputtered. I think the only thing consistent about the Philadelphia offense has been Dallas Goedert, and he's out for weeks now.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a team that should get better. And AJ Brown's been great whenever he's played, which is 2 games. I think this team's going to get better, but the concerns are very fair. Like I don't think anyone would watch the Eagles and say that they're a contending team in the NFC.
No, it'd be hard to.
And they are, they're still the favorites out of the NFC East, technically. just because they have players on defense.
Yeah.
Washington doesn't have that. They have nothing. Jimmy's got a question here, though. He's got Garrett Wilson for Michael Pittman Jr. and Adunze. He has Devontae. Team looks like Brees Henry, Mason, McCaffrey, Devontae, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Josh Downs. I don't know if you need to do that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. What is like? Are you trying to move Garrett Wilson right now if you're Devontae? Like, it's weird because I don't imagine many people are Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams owners. But let's say he certainly wants to move Garrett Wilson. What do? You get an upgrade at probably RB2, huh? Well, I guess no, because you have Brees and Henry. I mean, no, I think you can stay pat here, Jimmy.
Well, in this scenario too, he's just getting worse at receiver.
Right.
So yeah, I don't see this offense will be good enough to support 2 wide receivers. I'm confident. The Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident in that. Also, I'll say the same thing I've said to multiple people over the past 48 hours, which was the same thing as preseason when we talked about the Chicago Bears. When you have a team that relies on the spread offense, relies on the pass, usually that doesn't mix well with the windy city and when it's going to be cold and snowy as well. So much like I said with Caleb Williams, going to start rough. He's going to get really good, and then he's going to be terrible for the fantasy playoffs just because that's when the weather's going to be there. I don't really love Adunze at that point in the season either.
Well,
so
is this like and maybe Cole Kmet doesn't fit into this, but kind of going just based off of that. Is this like a sell high Keenan Allen right now?
After he had 2 touchdowns last week?
Yeah.
If people think there's more to come of that, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are Caleb Williams truthers out there that think, with Keenan Allen as wide receiver 1 there,
I think Caleb Williams is a good quarterback. I don't know how anyone could think Keenan Allen is the number 1 option, but if people think he's even the number 2 option, I think I would sell that too.
Okay.
Trevor, what's your thoughts?
All right, is my voice coming in normally?
Yeah, you're good.
Yep,
Jesus
you're good.
Christ. If you're watching this from Restream, I hate you. Beside the point, I'm sorry, what was the player again? I have so much rage.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan Allen. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same place I was with him to start the season. Like fantasy playoffs, I don't know how much you can rely on him with the Bears. I mean, they have a lot of mouths to feed there too. So I definitely getting a touchdown, even just 1 touchdown every week is far from guaranteed. So, I just have a lot of questions still about this Bears offense, how consistently Caleb Williams is able to produce numbers that can sustain an offense that has so many mouths to feed. I just don't see it. So for me, Keenan Allen is a wide receiver 3. I don't even like him as a wide receiver 2 because he's going to put up some duds this year.
For sure. And B. Anderson or Banderson in a 10-team PPR, somehow he got Hill, Cup, Cooper, and Adams going hero ball and just picked up Downs, waiting for Cup and Adams to get back. How are you ranking them this week? I mean, if Cup plays, which it seems like he's going to, let me just go to my wide receiver rankings. I'm going to put him in the low teens would be my guess. I mean, that's where I got Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I don't hate
like
that.
He's going to be around there for me.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And Puka's still out?
Yep. Yeah, he's still got a couple weeks, I think.
If Cup does play, it feels like why wouldn't they go to him immediately, early and often, right? Like the Rams need some kind of boost in their passing game here.
I agree. And just for everybody else, I think it's Whittington who would be the receiver to suffer the most without Cup. Because I think the others will still play outside receiver a bunch. So even though he's been the best, I don't think it just automatically means he's going to stay the best,
Yeah.
Like Tutu Atwell is going to see snaps still. Robinson's still going to see snaps. People like that. Trevor, thoughts on this?
I agree with where you are. I don't really have anything to add.
I do like
Jimmy
Josh Downs. The pickup. I like Josh Downs a lot. He's a stud.
I have a lot of people worried about him, and rightfully so, with Richardson back. And I think Downs is good enough, and he runs easy enough concepts in the offense where Richardson can get it to him.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
I think he sees a downgrade with Richardson, but I think he's still going to be probably startable as that wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
On there. Jimmy wants to know if he can start both Devontae and Garrett Wilson, and I think yes.
Yeah.
Raphael, trade London and Mostert for DK and Connor. Love that.
London and Mostert, DK. Yeah. Cool with me.
Yeah,
London's been balling.
He's been good. DK, I think, will get better. And then Connor is more trustworthy than Mostert.
For sure.
Okay. If you guys got any more questions, definitely ask. And that can be about fantasy, can be about anything. We got some pretty good takes here, and they can get spicy. So how about this one? I'm done with the Costco guys. Get them out. We need to do you know who I'm talking about when I say those guys?
I do.
Fucking hate them.
The Rizzler is generational.
Right. Does he, I think the Costco guys are the duo. In my opinion.
I guess the Rizzler is kind of like he's kind of like Ned Flanders to the Simpsons, right?
Yeah. Big Ned Flanders guy.
I love Ned Flanders.
I mean, he's got good vibes. He's
Yeah.
Good vibes guy. I wouldn't want him as my neighbor, I guess.
I have a take that I can fire off real quick.
Yeah, go. For it. Any hot takes? Say them in chat too.
I don't know if it's a hot take. Maybe it is. Maybe it's recency bias. But we were talking about before the show, the Terrifier. Like Art the Clown is as good as Jason or Freddy or any of the horror villains of all time.
I think Freddy's so cool.
I do too.
I think Freddy might be better for me. I understand Freddy because I don't understand Art yet, which maybe could be.
I think
for him.
That's the good part. It's the mystery around him.
There's no shot in hell that Chris Jericho wouldn't have knocked his ass down and made him tap, though. Like, guaranteed. There's no way.
He didn't see it coming, man. Art's got the element of surprise. And no spoilers, but if you haven't seen it, go watch those movies.
Terrifiers, for sure.
Yep.
This is the first one I've seen in theaters. I don't know if you saw the other two in theaters.
No.
You need to see this one in theaters, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
It's different impact. They say Adams is going to play. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Martin, thoughts on Judy and PPR now? I think he gets a little better. I'm valuing him close to the same, though. What about you guys?
It's hard to increase a value at all for anyone in that Browns offense, right? But I guess, if there's one guy, it's probably Judy, right? The wide receiver one's out. Someone has to catch the ball.
I would assume Elijah Moore does a little more.
Probably Njoku too, no?
Njoku should. He hasn't really had a ton of success with Deshaun. If there's like a dart throw receiver, maybe a Cedric Tillman. I think he could get some snaps on the outside there. But I'm not picking him up in anything other than Dynasty if he was dropped or something.
And to be fair, you take Amari Cooper out, you're taking what? 4 catches for 75 yards out?
Yes, he still drew the top coverage for the most part, though. But him and Judy are so different as players, where it's almost like there's still going to be matchups where the top corner, quote unquote, isn't going to go with Judy.
Right.
Drop Jameson Williams for Worthy rest of the season. No.
I would drop someone else for Worthy.
Sure. I still don't think Worthy's going to be consistent at all.
That's crazy that Worthy's on waivers.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy. He would be a complete headache to own, I think, but he should for sure be owned just in case. C-Dog, do I trade Terry and Laporta for Ferguson and Bijan? I think so. I think yes.
Yeah, right. The best player in this trade is Bijan Robinson, and you're getting him.
I think that's arguable. I think we've seen his floor, though.
I guess taking into consideration that how many running backs have been hurt this year, it's hard to get solid if you don't have a Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. Like Bijan, I'm with it. I'm always for running backs too. Running backs are tough to get.
Yeah, and on top of that, at least for me, Terry McLaurin has been playing out of his mind lately, and I think he's got a great connection with Jaden Daniels. I love him. At the same time, there is going to be regression there, right? We know that. Bijan, I think there's only going to be progression. Obviously not from this past week, but from the weeks before. So I agree with Luke that he's the best player. Ferguson versus Laporta, I don't think it's a huge drop-off either.
I think I prefer Ferguson.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. Laporta's
Laporta,
what,
like,
one touchdown, 2 touchdowns this year?
again, I think we've seen Laporta's floor, but I think Ferguson's more involved. I think he has to be more involved because of how good Jameson Williams has been with Detroit.
Well,
Like Ferguson
yeah,
doesn't need every pass.
that's what I was gonna say. We've seen his floor, but what is Laporta's ceiling? Amon Ra
That's
and James
big.
Williams are gonna suck up 20 targets a game.
I think Ferguson has a higher ceiling, but I mean, Laporta's can still be legit. I think it'll take an injury, to be honest, to one of those two guys, though, for him to be a consistent top 7 guy,
Right.
maybe something like that. Any thoughts on how the Pittsburgh quarterback shuffle is going to look? Jimmy talked about Pitt's going to start Rust. I don't know. I think it's for sure a dual situation, especially if Russ starts, but I'm not fully convinced that they're going full in on Russ like they are saying and like a lot of people are saying. It would not surprise me if he doesn't start at all it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't play this week, to be honest. Like we know how to beat the Jets. We all do. You run the football on them. So I don't think Pittsburgh's dumb enough or controlled enough by their front office where they feel like they have to play Russ. But very clearly, I mean, Justin Fields is a better option for this week.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a little strange making, right? You're 4-2. I know Baltimore's been playing good, but you're still atop this division, right? I don't know. Why? Like, what's even the reason for bringing Russell Wilson in?
Jimmy says Fields has missed a bunch of reads, and yeah, so has literally every quarterback but like 2 this year. Quarterbacks suck. I'm not sure if you've watched other games. Quarterbacks are not good right now at all.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I don't understand the point of taking Justin Fields out, even if you're not playing the Jets. Like, I understand he might not be great, but are we forgetting who Russell Wilson was the past couple of years? And on top of that, like, to Luke's point, you're on top of the division, right? Why are you risking in unknown? It kind of reminds me of a Family Guy when Peter has the option to take the boat or take the box, and he says,
Oh
but the
yeah.
box might be a boat. Like, you have a quarterback who you can win with in Justin Fields. Why are you trying to see if Russell Wilson is just a little bit better? Because he's not a star anymore. So I just don't understand it.
In my opinion, I think Pittsburgh watched the Jets game the same thing that we did, and we saw penalty after penalty. We saw mental mistake after mental mistake. And if they have to give the new head coach, who is still the defensive coordinator, who's in charge of a team that's in complete disarray, something else to completely prepare for, you do it.
Yeah.
Like I think that alone is the advantage. I don't think it's actually playing Russ. And even if they do play Russ, like then you can change the packages completely and force the Jets to make in-game adjustments with their personnel and stuff like that, which they can't even send out the right number of people. They can't do stuff like that. So maybe that's the advantage. That would be a like 1,000 IQ play. That's giving them all of the credit in the world. And it could be true because I really like their coaching staff. I think they're smart. But I mean, I've also seen a lot of people be like, hey, we got to play Russell Wilson if we have Russell Wilson because he's the star. And Justin Fields is not a star, which, you know, debatable as well, but is what it is. Other quarterbacks, I got to go back to the quarterbacks here. I'm pretty in line with everybody, I think, this week. For the most part, little differences. The biggest difference, I think, would be Spencer Rattler, who I don't love. I have him at 26, but that's 4 spots higher than the consensus. Rankings went down on FantasyPros. Okay, got it now. I thought he looked okay last week, actually, in his debut. Broncos don't have Surtain, which is huge, obviously. They lost their linebacker 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So even though Rattler's going to be without Olave and Rashid Shaheed and probably Taysom Hill, which sucks, I think they can still pass on the Broncos. And the Broncos have just as bad of a receiving core, and I think they're going to be able to pass on the Saints. So this is a game. It could be the grossest high-scoring game of all time tomorrow. Because
Sean Payton revenge game too.
It is a lot of the Broncos staff revenge game. He's got a lot of people from the Saints. Will Lutz, I think the offensive line coaches from the Saints, there's a few people, but like I don't need to see Lil Jordan Humphrey catch a pass ever again. Like, that's
No,
something's going on. I don't like it, and I don't like the way they're using Vele. Just play
No.
him. Like when he plays, he sees 8 targets or something, and then
Yep.
he's a healthy scratch. I don't get it.
And I mean, I can't speak really objectively, seeing I have always hated Spencer Rattler for my entire life, and the one
Yeah.
snap I saw was his horrible interception at the end of the game, which was bad. I didn't watch the replay, so maybe he did something big brain that didn't work out, but it looked bad. But I mean, to your point, like Surtain is out. That's all you really need to know about this team. It doesn't matter. I mean, if he's in, I'm hammering the Broncos the top ranked defense, but he's not. And I think they're gonna. I mean, they still have Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara has been a great playmaker, check downs, whatever. Like they're gonna be able to move the ball even with just Alvin Kamara. Their other receivers are still gonna be able to do just enough. I mean, they threw a touchdown to Bub Means, for God's sake. Like I didn't even know who that dude was, but
And he's one of those people that will rise in my wide receiver rankings tomorrow. I can guarantee it. I've been watching some Bub highlights. I'm a Bub guy. We need to get merch to say Bub. You guys had the girly guys. I'm a Bub guy. Watch. He's gonna be my captain in some DFS stuff. Like, love him. Absolutely love the guy.
Bob Carrington too. Pitt alum,
True.
gonna dominate at Washington Wizards.
True. B. Anderson. So keeping Fields or ahead or get ahead if a change does occur and pick up someone else with more stability. I mean, depends on who else you have.
And who is picking up someone else? What does that mean?
Like I because he wanted to know the quarterback situation, what we thought. So I'm assuming he has Fields. If you're relying on him as your starter, I would make other plans for sure. If he's your backup, you don't have to just get rid of him. But you know who's out there. It fully depends who's out there.
And
would I rather have like Bo Nix? Maybe is that the area of that? I think I'd rather keep Fields just in case.
And to add on to that, Banderson, if how much is the quarterback market on waivers going to change this week compared to next week? I think you can play it out here and see what Pittsburgh actually does.
Who's on bye next week? I got it right here. 1 second. Everybody calm down. No
Relax.
bias next week. No bias. So that's a big deal.
Really good schedule in NFL.
yeah, why do we have buys in week 5 and none in what, week 8? Come on.
Or why week 14?
Right.
It's just like we need to knock that off. That's so dumb. That's completely. I mean, I can tell you why they're doing it, and maybe it's pessimistic of me because we're going to get that week 20, so we get the second bye, and they're experimenting where to put that second bye. I think so. That's why we got super early buys and we got super late buys, and they're watching the players, their injury patterns and stuff like that, so they can balance it out a little bit better. That's my guess. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a little high, but that's my conspiracy.
It happens.
It is.
Well,
it is what it is.
So you're gonna end up playing what? If they have 20 weeks, 2 buys, 18 games.
Mhm.
Never mind.
That's for sure happening. That's not even a debate.
I was gonna say split up and have every team take a bye on the same day and split up into thirds, but you're gonna lose 2 weeks. You can't do that.
I think I do. I think there's going to be a mandatory bye, and they're going to do Pro Bowl in season.
Yeah, like that's fine. Like if the NFL can think of something, then just split the season up into thirds.
But they think it'll cause players to go more, is what they're saying, and it'll cause better viewership, which is for sure. But if I'm Josh Allen and I've been getting my dick kicked in for 12 weeks, I'm not going to the Pro Bowl.
Fair.
You know, like I don't think it's going to be that much better. I want to take a break. We're committing so much time and energy. My wife needs to go on vacation. Like, I don't think it's going to cause that much better commitment rate, you know? Fields is his backup, so he can wait. Baker's available. I'd go get Baker.
I like Baker with Fields 100%. 7 days out of 7 days.
And someone drop Tank Bigsby. I don't think you need to go get Tank Bigsby. I'd prefer Baker because I think he might be better than your starter.
Maybe.
We'll see. Or if your starter is Josh Allen or somebody like that, you may not need to hold 2 quarterbacks. That's also a thing.
Speaking of Tank Bigsby, in Trevor's Fleece trade of the day before last week, I traded ETN for Mixon, and I am very happy about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's nice. Julian, should I start Drake London or Chuba Hubbard at flex this week? If what's his face comes back, the rookie running back for Carolina, can't think of his name right now. Brooks. If he's active this week, sounds like he's going to be. London. Then I'm for sure going London. If there's no Brooks, ask me on Sunday. I may be inclined to go Chuba Hubbard at that point. It's for sure closer.
Yeah, as a vibes guy, who does Carolina play this week?
Carolina plays Washington, I think.
Yeah, well, that John Allen injury is horrible for Washington.
Yeah, bad defense gets much worse.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm doing Hubbard then. Granted, Brooks does not play.
Yeah. I would assume Brooks gets 20% of the snaps or something if he plays. Like, I don't think he dominates or anything, but if it cuts into a running back snaps or carries at all, I'm not a fan of playing.
Yeah.
Do you think they do clear Hubbard Brooks this week?
I thought it sounded like they wanted to.
Okay.
If there's a team that you want to debut him against, Washington.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or on the flip side, if there's a game you want to showcase Chuba Hubbard for in trade talks, it's Washington. So, I mean, you could take that either direction, I guess. Starter is Jane Daniels. Okay. So call me Howard, nervous with running quarterbacks or injuries. Fully get that.
I understand it, but Jaden Daniels is much more than a running quarterback. That dude can pass the ball.
Right. He's just nervous about him getting injured. Fully get that. My devil's advocate is like Baker Mayfield's available right now.
Correct.
So you're putting another good quarterback out there, possibly with Justin Fields. And I would be fine with holding on to Baker because I think he's that good for fantasy this year. But he very well could be available in 2 or 3 weeks as well, according to your league, I guess.
Yeah,
running backs this week.
Either way, I want Baker over Fields on my team.
For sure. Running backs this week, we got Saquon Barkley at the Giants at number 1. Could be nobody else. I have Derrick Henry 2 at the Bucks. Kyren Williams 3 versus the Raiders. Bijan 4 versus Seattle. Kenneth Walker 5 at the Falcons. I finally feel good about a top 5 running back. Like every week, there's like 2 or 3 of those guys where I'm like, I don't love their matchup. I'm just hoping to get a touchdown. This week, we could see some yards. I'm excited about it. What do you think of those 5, Trevor?
For me, it's Saquon and then everybody else.
Oh. I think it's Derrick Henry and everyone else.
I just have to go Saquon this week just because Sirianni wants him to have a hat trick.
It's fair. Yeah. I understand it.
Why do I have this feeling that Derrick Henry is not going to fall off a cliff? But I mean, that touchdown streak has to end sometime, right?
Not in prime time.
I don't think so. The Ravens are just incredible at running the football.
They are playing prime time. Yeah,
this game's going to be high scoring too. It has to be.
I'm just going Saquon simply because I think that streak comes to an end at some point. But if it's prime time, then I'm a little less confident in my prediction. Well, I think Derrick Henry's right behind him.
To support you on Saquon Barkley, he's what, like 34% of the Eagles' offense. Like he just hasn't been getting in the end zone. So at some point, Saquon Barkley's going to get in the end zone. I'm cool with it, with him being high.
Here's my extremely bold prediction of the week, and we're going to clip this when it's correct. Ready?
Yep.
I think Saquon Barkley scores a rushing touchdown on the goal line, doing the tush push. I think he takes a snap.
Interesting.
I think it's wild. It makes very little sense. I bet that happens.
Interesting.
And I'll go a step further. Hurts will be the one behind him for some reason.
Let's talk about the tush push for a second. Are they kind of pussying out on it? Jalen Hurts not running up the middle anymore.
They haven't really been in position in
he's
whatever
been
in short.
He's been sidestepping and jumping over. Like that's not the tush push that I know and love.
That is true. Back in my day, we would get in there and we would be falling forward for 3 yards every time.
Not my tush push.
Right.
No, Trevor's tush push was very different. Shadow, tell me if this lineup is good or bad. We got Jackson, Metcalf, Worthy, Pollard, Hunt, Likely, Godwin, Washington defense. I mean, worst answer
Yeah.
I could give you. I think it's middle of the road. So I think it's neither good nor bad.
I mean, I think it's a fun lineup. Like, right?
Very fun.
At any given day, you're getting a huge game out of Lamar, Metcalf, Worthy, Hunt, Likely, and Godwin. So yeah, I love this lineup.
It's very fun. I'm surprised you didn't ask this question, Luke. Like, the only thing this is missing is Pickens instead of Metcalf.
Right.
Like, this is a very fun lineup, but I don't trust Worthy as my wide receiver too. We know Metcalf's relatively inconsistent. I don't trust Likely as my starting tight end. And then Washington defense. Matchup this week is okay, but I can pretty confidently say Andy Dalton can pass against them.
Yeah. So as someone who often does these fun lineups, you're either going to be the high score of the week with like 230 points, or you're scoring 48 points.
Exactly. It's a fun ride. What do you think, Trevor?
I'm in the same boat. I apologize. I'm trying to bring up your rankings, but my Wi-Fi is still kicking my ass. So
all good. Nino traded Mike
what up,
Evans
man?
and Tank Dell. Yeah, what's up? Thanks for coming back. Traded Mike Evans and Tank Dell for AJ Brown. Any thoughts? I do have the Saquon stack, but it does make my wide receiver room crazy with CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp, which I also love. So Evans and Dell for AJ Brown. Did he give up too much?
I don't like. At what point is it time to would you sell Tank Dell? Right? It's got to be sometime before Nico Collins comes back. So if you're getting an AJ, I don't hate it. No, I don't hate this at all.
I don't hate it. I think you could have maybe waited a week or two. I would have waited till after they play the Packers. I think he has a good week this week. But I definitely don't hate that trade because obviously when AJ Brown's on the field, like you said earlier, Zach, I mean, he's been putting up numbers, so no problem with that at all.
Yeah, I think I would have rather waited to see Kupp this week just in case, because if Kupp gets re-injured or something like that, then your depth isn't great, obviously. But Tank Dell for sure. He's going to go back down to probably the fourth or fifth option in that offense. And then once Nico Collins comes back, Mike Evans, I like this year. This could be a sell high spot for Mike Evans because everyone's just chalking up last week like, yeah, he always sucks against Lattimore, which is true, but everyone's expecting him to bounce back to 100 yards and a touchdown, and maybe that's not possible.
No, not especially with how Chris Godwin's been playing this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Again, this is a great matchup, I think, for him. I think he plays well, but, and then Shadow.
I think the trade's all right. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Shadow. Only reason I have Washington is because I don't trust Denver. I mean, I trust Denver more than Washington, even without Surtain, in my opinion. Because Broncos, they are just the Vikings, but given less credit on their defense, essentially. They'll blitz, I believe, the second most in the NFL. So if you're telling me Spencer Rattler is going to be blitzed all night with no go-to option, he's going to make a mistake. He's probably going to make a couple. So we will see. But I think Broncos defense is good enough to take advantage of that. Arbitrage, McLaurin, and Kupp for Lamb and Worthy. I think I want McLaurin and Kupp.
Yeah. I don't want, I mean, we just talked about it. Worthy, like, I feel like three of these guys are on the same level, at least production right now. And Worthy isn't on that level. So I don't want to do this if I'm getting Lamb and Worthy.
Yep, I'm with you guys.
I do think CD gets better, though.
He's not getting worse.
True. Do we have a gut feeling on the McCaffrey return?
No.
Mason Owner with the injury. I'm just trying to see how long I can still start him. It's okay. I'll give my gut feeling, but truly, who knows? I think he comes back after the bye. So I think it's week 10. That would be.
So if you're a Jordan Mason owner, right, and this huge elephant's looming, like when's Christian McCaffrey coming back? Is this one where you just ride out Jordan Mason until the trade deadline and just see what you can get for him at the trade deadline?
you for sure need to have him have another good game before you trade him.
Yeah.
Because last week didn't do anything for him. And if all of a sudden now they go two-headed attack with Garendo or whatever and Mason, then I'd rather have the value of the two-headed attack than just trade him, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Defense starter is going to kill me this week. Probably. We do have a defensive streamers article on FLURRYSports.org. And obviously I'll update my rankings tomorrow for sure before Thursday night. But Denver is going to be a top 3 unit for me, I think. Where do I have them right now? I don't have them number 1, do I? I currently have Denver number 1. Okay. So, I mean, that tells you what I think. Trade, no problem, arbitrage. Trade CD, Dowdle, Chase, Brown for Devontae Adams, Zay Flowers, and Dobbins. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I was kind of surprised that Jamar Chase was the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy. Took me off guard a little bit.
He's had like 3 60-yard touchdowns.
Yeah. But I think Devontae can rival Chase. Zay Flowers be fine. Oh, yeah. Not Jamar Chase. So I like it more. I think Devontae can rival CD Lamb. I think Dobbins is better than both of those running backs. And then Zay Flowers is good.
Yeah. Yeah, they're only going to keep going to Zay Flowers.
Yeah, he is very good at football. Okay, wide receivers quickly. Actually, we'll just talk about who I'm higher and lower on than the public, and then you guys can look at my rankings at FLURRYSports.org. So running backs, I am higher on David Montgomery at 10 this week, 4 spots. I'm also higher on Ty Chandler, Garendo at 36.
Time out. Sorry.
Yeah.
People have David Montgomery outside the top 10.
Yeah, 14.
That's fucking crazy.
I know. Because the rankings were posted on Reddit today, and there's like multiple people being like, finally, people are starting to rank Montgomery over Gibbs. And I'm like, hey, not most people still aren't.
Right.
like welcome to the show, boys. Like
I was
we're a Montgomery show.
Right. I was talking about that with my buddy the other day. Like Jahmyr Gibbs was going in the 1st and Montgomery was going in like the 6th. It feels like they both should have went like in the 3rd.
Yeah. It's every year there's a situation like this where it's like the second guy is forgotten about. Like it's the Gibbs show. No. Right. David Montgomery's so good at football. In fact, they just gave him an extension. He's just as good as Gibbs at football. Yeah. Just they do different things. So stupid. Okay, other guys.
Sorry.
No, you're good. McNichols, I have at 40. I think he plays. Well, he's playing. I think Brian Robinson probably does not. We'll see though. Vidal, I have at 38. Gus Edwards obviously is out. Dart throw in deep league guys. Go for Audric Estime. I think he's going to start seeing more snaps. Wink, wink. Maybe I know somebody. Tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night. Elvin Kamara, I don't like. Let's just say that. It is tomorrow night. What am I talking about? Elvin Kamara, I have at 11, which is 5 spots lower. So I do have him lower than David Montgomery. I'm lower on Tony Pollard. I'm lower on. That's about it. We'll see about all these injuries. There's going to be so many updates to these rankings because you got Singletary, you got Aaron Jones, you got Brian Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. There's just so many injuries. It's insane. So tune in for the updates. Wide receivers, and again, just stop me if there's one you want to talk about. I'm 4 higher on Deebo Samuel at 10. 13 spots higher on Devontae Adams at 38, but he's going to go way higher than that. Michael Wilson, I have at 42. That's 6 spots higher. People still hate him. Vele, I have at 57. That's 16 spots higher. And I also like Troy Franklin, Luke McCaffrey, people like that. I am lower 4 spots on Devontae Smith. I am 9 spots lower on Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think this is a big Juju game. I'm at 43. So that was one people were a little confused about.
I understand the Juju love, right? Like someone is, producing big numbers in the absence of Rashee Rice. But once again, it kind of feels like a situational thing who's got the better matchup for Kansas City? How can Andy Reid exploit that?
Yeah, I think you can take away Juju one-on-one. Like they can just put their best corner on him and take him away.
Just make him run laterally.
I mean, we saw DK Metcalf get taken away
Yeah.
by the 49ers last week. So Christian Watson, I'm 5 lower at 45. There's going to be no consistency with his game. Bad look for me. 4 spots lower on Bud Means. We will change that. He will be he might be a top 50 guy tomorrow night. Stay tuned. I like him.
Yeah.
He's got moxie. He's going to be good. Tight ends. I am a little higher on Will Dissly. We need to watch that. The Hayden Hurst injury is completely getting just not talked about whatsoever.
Well, the Chargers in general just are not getting talked about whatsoever.
Not at all. I had to look multiple times to see if they won last week. Yeah. I kept forgetting. They're just not. It's weird that a Jim Harbaugh team is fully ignored.
Right. Especially a team like the Chargers that everyone was sucking dick on for the last 5 years.
Yeah. They're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
We're going to be like, how did they get here? They're guaranteed. I think it's pretty guaranteed they're making the playoffs because they're not going to mess up. They're just going to play regular football, and the teams that they're better than, they're going to beat. And then the teams that they're worse than, they're going to steal a couple because they won't make the mistakes.
Yep. I agree.
That's Detroit Lions football. I am higher also on Noah Gray at 30. Not a huge, I'm not overly confident, but that's 7 spots higher. People are forgetting how used he was 2 weeks ago. Like he's going to be used quite a bit. I am lower on Chig Okonkwo, 5 spots lower on him, 9 spots lower on Dawson Knox. People are still ranking him like he plays football. And then we'll see if TJ Hawkinson plays. If Hawkinson plays, he will be around that 12 range for me, I think, immediately.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on him?
Right. There's only a couple, as it is every year. There's a couple tight ends that you have in your lineup that you're confident in. They're plug and play. You don't even think about it. If you're searching for anyone, why wouldn't you take a shot on TJ Hawkinson?
Yeah. Same with you, Trevor?
Yeah, absolutely. I stashed him in a number of leagues. So I'm glad to finally be reaping the benefits. I don't expect him to be putting down 20 points week 1. But I also want to be surprised if he finds himself in the end zone as well. I think this can be a really good game against Detroit for both offenses, fantasy-wise.
I mean, do we need to talk about the revenge game factor? Like, of course he could do well against them. Another tight end nobody's talked about whatsoever. So if you are really struggling at tight end, take a look at Tyler Higbee. He is virtually unowned. He's going to be coming back in a couple of weeks. No one's talking about it at all. And once he's back, I think he's going to be okay. I think he'll be better than what Parkinson is right now. So if you have Parkinson on your bench, just get rid of him. Just pick up Higbee.
Yep.
Yeah. Calcaterra should take over for Goddard. He's another one you can pick up and stream, I think, for a little bit. We got a question about kickers, though.
Oh, here we go.
Fairbairn and Butker, your opinions. Obviously, both are top tier guys, so it doesn't really matter. But I believe I have Butker at number 1. No, I don't. I actually have Fairbairn higher this week. So how about that?
Well, I mean, he didn't ask for opinions in fantasy. I mean, you got to be more specific about the person. I don't know. I think that's more in the air. I don't think I know enough about Fairbairn to give an opinion on his personality.
Is he Hawaiian?
Where does
right?
I don't know. I was a little nervous when I said that. Like that's offensive. Then he said it has to be. So okay, let's check.
I'm on the block now.
Where is Kansas City this week?
I think they're home. No, they're at San Francisco.
All right, so they're both going to get nice. Like it's going to be 75 and sunny here in Green Bay, so it's going to be both nice kicking games. So yeah, you whatever, man. Have some fun.
Okay, Fairbairn for sure from Hawaii. That name is made up. There's no way.
Yeah, it's long.
All names
so
are made
long.
up.
It is John Christian and then the longest strain of letters I've ever seen.
Yep.
Good for him.
It's like the
Anything
Russians
else?
that have all the consonants back to back to back in hockey.
Kaimi means seeker of wisdom, which is cool. Hawaiians have a long ancestry, so it's meaningful to go by his Hawaiian name instead of John Christian. Let's learn a little bit more about him. 5'11 and a half. That's a confident man. If he says he's 5'11 and a half, that's like, say you're 6'2". You don't even need to say 6 foot. Go for it. Go for the whole thing. Do what I do and add an inch every time I get my driver's license removed. I'm excited to be 6'4". It's going
To
be
be
coming
fair
soon.
to
awesome.
him, JC Fairbairn does not work the same. He's not a good kicker, JC.
That sounds like Mormon. Like that's who I'm picturing. That's
That
BYU's kicker.
So yeah,
No.
BYU.
No, that sounds like a middle reliever for the Colorado Rockies.
I mean, we're in the mountains over there.
Where
Never know.
he has like a 5 ERA, and every time they send him out, you're losing by 5 runs. Like, why are we sending him out right now?
Right. That's fair. I saw just something disgraceful in the chat. Mark Andrews at 16. He didn't sway you after last week. He will never sway me. He will always be dead to me. This isn't a this year thing. But in actuality, he got 4 targets. If he gets 4 targets again, I feel comfortable about him being at 16. That's kind of where I'm at. He's going to catch a touchdown every once in a while. And if he catches a touchdown, I'm wrong. If he doesn't, I'm right. I'm just betting on him not catching touchdowns. But like I said, I think this is a high scoring game. So if he's going to catch one, makes sense that it would be this week, but it's Mark Andrews. Can't do it.
I brought this up before, and Zach, I saw you tweeted about it. Who listens to the St. Brown podcast? Like, they are the worst. He's the worst interview of all time, Amon Ra.
They are so fucking boring.
Yeah.
And no one said this, which tells me how bad their podcast is. Because I said, who listens to St. Brown podcast? Very easily for someone to say way more people than listen to yours, which is true, right?
Right.
No one said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That tells you how bad that pod. They're so boring.
Also,
It's painful.
They were trying to like drum up like "Don't lose at home" to Bo Melton. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is that? Like, are you trying to make a rivalry that doesn't exist? Like, you still are Detroit. I'd say as I'm wearing a Detroit sweatshirt, but point still stands. Like, that was the highlight of their whole episode. It wasn't good.
Yeah, that was the one they shared. Yeah, that's the one to tune in for. Not great. Equanimous EQ apparently is on the Saints now. We could see him tomorrow. There's projections for him on Underdog, which is insane. Well, we'll use that to lead to our Underdog segment. If you haven't joined Underdog Fantasy yet, scan the QR code.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Luke, calm down. Let's just pitch them first, and then we'll go off on them if they don't. Scan the QR code or go to underdogfantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app and use the promo code FLURRY because you could get a $1,000 bonus. If you don't, Luke, what are they doing?
What are you doing?
What are we doing?
Especially right now. I say it every time we bring up Underdog. NBA season starts. That's where you make money, early NBA season.
Yeah, and NBA, I haven't done this in past years for whatever reason. NBA best ball. I think that's going to be fun.
Yep, for sure.
You got to draft those right now. So go and draft that right now. But we are in the middle of Boostober. Smack dab in the middle, actually. That means there's a new promo, a new bonus every single day in October at Underdog Fantasy. Right now, I believe it's a 31% profit boost on your entry, your pick'em entry, which I am sad to say I used on tomorrow night's game. Like, it's the most disgusting game of all time. And I like my parlay. So we will see what happens. But you can do live drafts against other real people just for single games for the week, for best ball, a bunch of across all sports. We got hockey right now. There's even MMA stuff over there. You got esports stuff over there. So definitely go to Underdog Fantasy. Lots of money to be made every single week. We give you an Underdog Fantasy pick from each of us so you can go enter. So enter them all and you can get, I believe, up to 10 times your money just like that. What are we doing? Luke, would you like to go first? I know you got one before the show.
I have one for tomorrow night.
Great.
we had talked about Spencer Rattler being the quarterback from New Orleans. The receiving core is kind of wiped right now. And Denver sending the blitz. Like, Juwan Johnson, 26.5 receiving yards.
Ooh.
Like, come on.
I was wondering if you were going to go the same place as me. I did not play Juwan Johnson, but I did play a Saints tight end. Foster Morrow, over 7.5 receiving yards.
I love them both.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
I do like them both. But 7.5, he's going to get a 7-yard catch and get hurt. But I love 7.5. He had what, like 50 yards last week?
Yeah.
Him up.
Yeah.
And my pick is the third Saints. No, not the third Saints tight end. But I do have Spencer Rattler. This is a hate watch for me. I think he's a douche. And so I'm going to let my fury for him get in the way. I think over a half interception. On the real, like, he will be throwing some interceptions this year. He's got a big learning curve. He has to learn quick. And I see this game being a scenario where they're down late. He's got to force it down the field. I just feel like that's going to have to happen because he's a guy who, say what you want about him, he's going to go out there and try to make plays. He's not going to
play hero ball
at times. He does play hero ball. So I look at half an interception. I know it's a little less of an odds than normal, but I think he's going to get one.
I think that's fair. I may even like that more than the one I played for him in this entry. I have a 5 pick. I have Spencer Rattler over 180 passing yards, but over half a pick is also nice. I have Troy Franklin over 19.5 receiving yards. I have Foster Morrow over 7.5 receiving yards. Devon Vele over 30.5 receiving yards. And then we got Bub Means over 29.5 receiving yards, which may happen the first drive. Who knows? Bub Means is going to have a little coming out party tomorrow night. It's going to be fantastic. Yes, Luke.
Can I add another one to my slip?
Sure. Go for it.
By the way, how many other shows are giving you 8 underdog picks for a Thursday night football game between the Broncos and the Saints? But
for free?
For free. I want Drake May 27.5 rushing yards. They're going to London. It's all fucked up there. He runs when he has to. He's a rookie. He's got good legs. Give me that.
I've entered a bunch for that game as well. I did his passing yards higher. I paired it with, again, I need to create an entry with both these guys. Bub Means and then Hunter Henry. I have him over his receiving yards. Man, the world may break, but it's worth it. I have Dalton Schultz against the Packers over 3.5 receptions. Packers are getting killed by tight ends because their linebackers and safeties can't cover. Demario Douglas seems to be Drake May's guy. I have him over 39.5 receiving yards. Then I have Tank Dell over 4.5 receptions. Packers are going to continue to get beat in the slot. So I like that. I don't know. Lots of good picks over there. Malik wants to know who to start, Goff or Darnold. I believe I have Darnold higher.
Darnold.
Yeah, way higher. Trevor, same?
Detroit doesn't have to pass. Minnesota has to pass.
Fair. How do you guys feel about Mahomes' rest of the season? Do I need to make a move at quarterback? Wire is bare. I mean, Goff and Darnold are there. So, I mean, if Darnold's there, it's not bare. And Goff's been pretty good, too.
I wonder, this is an interesting conversation to have before we end the show here. Like, if you're with Mahomes, you obviously don't feel comfortable. Can you get an upgrade at quarterback for Mahomes trading him?
Yeah. I have Darnold, I think, 6 spots higher than Mahomes this week. And I don't think it's going to change a ton week to week. Like, I think Mahomes is going to get better, but I may prefer Sam Darnold right now.
Okay. Do you think that you could get like a Jaden Daniels?
I don't think Daniels. That's an interesting line. I think you could get Baker.
What? Yeah.
And I would do that.
What about someone like Burrow?
Maybe.
It's interesting. Jimmy, if you trade Mahomes, let us know because I'm really interested on what his trade value is.
I would, again, I hate position for position trades. They confuse me. So I would almost throw in like a running back just to feel like you're getting one.
Yeah.
Like they think they're going to get one over on you. If it's position for position, they get suspicious. So add a little eye candy. You throw in somebody else. You get a quarterback you think's better. They think is worse, obviously. And then you can upgrade at that other player as well.
Yeah.
You should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Play.
Interesting.
Yeah, play a little mind games. But yeah, we got a Green Bay Packers show coming up here in a second called Lombardi Sweep. We are going to go over the game last week, which was literally exactly what we said, so that probably won't take very long. And then we got the Houston Texans this week. It's a show that you can use for fantasy football. We got injury report, Packers analysis, stuff like that. And just like last week, we'll say it again, we got a girl on that show. So if you don't want to keep staring at us, you can stare at the main character from Terrifier 1.
Yeah.
Go look that up. Janet looks identical. Not Art. Not Art the clown.
No, not Art.
The girl. Don't remember her name, but shout out to her.